A wonderful morning to everyone who has joined today. From the ManageEngine family, we would like to extend a warm welcome and sincere thanks to all our customers. Endpoint management and security is one of the main focus areas of ManageEngine. Now, you guys have a chance to claim your ManageEngine's participation certificate for participating in our training program from mid of August till the next week. So please make sure you are registered to get a certificate to your email ID, and it would be provided for each of the modules that you have been attending the training for. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jeffrey Nathan, and I'm a product specialist with ManageEngine. I take care of endpoint management products, including Desktop Central, and I am a seasoned technical support engineer assisting customers in the implementation, consultation, and troubleshooting in case of any challenges. And the fun part is that this will be my last webinar for today. So long, guys. Thanks for the wonderful memories. Now, in today's webinar, we will focus on endpoint management solutions, which has different product portfolios under management and security. During today's session, we will be discussing about the Desktop Central suite, which has management and security capabilities. Now, as you all know, the whole world is affected by COVID-19, and we're just starting to recuperate. And as an organization, we have all moved to a work from home scenario, and most of you would have already moved to a similar setup. We do have to take individual responsibilities in these tough times to ensure that we stay safe and also keep those around us safe. This can prove to be quite a challenging task for an IT admin who need to manage the machines remotely across various remote sites and countries or continents. Now, let's take the example of John, or IT admin. Usually, we take an example of John having to manage 10,000 machines across his organization's different remote offices. But due to the COVID pandemic, the users have all been moved to a work from home that he has to manage. VPN users, they have always been connected over the VPN, so there are existing policies in place to manage them. Then there are newly provided VPN connections for work from home users. So most organizations should be following and have now moved to a remote setup. And lastly, you have the cloud users, or users that connect directly over internet. There is no corporate network that's involved. Now, the VPN users should not have any issues connecting with the Desktop Central server because they are virtually in the same network. But when it comes to managing users who connect directly over the internet, you run the risk of exposing the Desktop Central server to the internet. Now, John, being the smart IT guy, is making use of the Secure Gateway server component for that added level of security. The Secure Gateway encrypts agent connection and also restricts access to the web console over the internet, aside from obviously not exposing the Desktop Central server to the internet. Now, once again, welcome to the Desktop Central training. Let's look at the training schedule. Now, we are on week 4 of season 21, which is remote control and tools. And this is one of the modules of endpoint management and the security suite. We have covered a couple of modules over the past weeks, and we are currently running on week 4. So in case if you have missed any of our training schedules, you can always view them on the link shown at the bottom of the screen. If you are interested in the upcoming training, please use the same link to register yourself. Now let's look at the remote control module from a work from home perspective today. Let's have a quick look about the agenda. So we will have an overview of Desktop Central and managing endpoints in a work from home setup. Then we'll be looking at how to notify end users about impending patch updates using announcements. And with regards to tools or remote control, which is what today's session is about, we will look at some scenarios, including how we can troubleshoot Helpdesk tickets and how Desktop Central's remote control will be of help to you. I have also taken a couple of scenarios like troubleshooting system slowness and how Desktop Central as a tool can be a great help for you in your daily activities. Then we will be having a look at the architecture behind how all of this works. And we will discuss some of the frequently asked questions with respect to tools and remote control. In fact, even during the course of the training, if you have any questions, please feel free to chat using the chat window. I have an expert panel with me who are ready to answer all your questions. What is Desktop Central? Desktop Central is an endpoint management solution that ensures that all your endpoints are secure and enables the users to use them effectively for business. Forrester defines UEM as follows: products that provide a centralized policy engine for managing and securing employee laptops and mobile devices from a single console. In unified endpoint management, you can manage endpoints in a traditional ID fashion that includes patch management, application management, configuration deployment, asset management, OS deployment, remote control, and tools for troubleshooting and day-to-day management activities. Similarly, endpoints can also be managed under modern management. So all modern operating systems support modern management, and it supports features like geo-tracking, geofencing, managing Windows Store applications, profile distributions to enforce restrictions, and operating system reset and recovery. So can you guess a popular operating system when I say modern operating system? If you guessed Windows 10, you're right. It is a classic example in which we can manage both traditional and modern management. Desktop Central can manage both worlds, that is traditional and modern, from a single console. Now, these are the features that you can leverage when you are using Desktop Central as a unified endpoint management solution. We have patch management, which takes care of operating system and third-party application patching. We have application management, asset management, configurations. So in fact, if you are following our training schedule, we'll be talking about this in our next sequence. You can also manage other functions, including mobile device management for iOS, Android, Windows, and Chromebooks. Then we have modern management, which is for Windows and Mac OS respectively. You can perform things like geo-tracking, complete or corporate wide. You can put the device in kiosk mode, and you can distribute store apps and manage profile distribution. Then finally, we have OS deployment, where you will be able to create a single master image and deploy it to multiple machines. So these are the features that are offered within the Desktop Central suite. Hence, with the Desktop Central Unified Endpoint Management, you will be able to manage desktops, laptops, mobile phones, tablets, servers, point-of-sale devices, and even browsers. All this from a single console. Desktop Central is recognized for Best Unified Endpoint Management Tool of 2019 as reviewed by customers in the Gartner Peer Insight Customer's Choice Award. We are recognized for Unified Endpoint Management in the Magic Quadrant for the second consecutive year. We are recognized for both traditional and modern management. Now, what are the components that you need to run this application? There are essential as well as optional components to it. The Desktop Central Server is the central component that you will install, and it provides the interface to the management console. The agent is another essential component, so you need this to be installed on the target machines that you want to manage. And there's another component called the notification server. This is an interesting component, and we will be talking about more about this once we get into the training session. And when you have a look at the optional components, we have distribution servers, which serve as repository for patches, software packages, any custom scripts or configurations that you have deployed to machines in a remote office. You can create unique replication policies for each location as per the bandwidth constraints. Then you have the secure gateway server. This is useful if you are going to manage machines that are not part of the LAN or connecting over the internet. We also have the failover server. So in case if you want to have high availability, you can make use of this. And this is separately licensed, so you'll have to purchase that additionally. And you can also use language packs to list the web console in your preferred language. Now, Desktop Central supports 3 operating systems for now, that is Windows, Mac, and Linux. You can find the complete list of supported operating systems on the screen. And you can also contact support if you have any queries regarding this. The application server runs on Windows platform only, but you can manage endpoints with Windows, Mac, or Linux operating systems. So since Desktop Center works on a client-server model, this means you need to have the agent installed in all the endpoints to manage them. So to facilitate agent installation, we recommend 3 methods. So one is via group policy in your Active Directory. You can download an application setup and push it using a group policy. So you can also automate the agent installation directly from the web console. So you can add multiple domains or OUs or security groups and choose the respective machines and push out the agent to them. And lastly, you also have scripts that you can use to install the agent, or you can also download the agent manually and execute the package directly from the machine, and it should then automatically report back to the server. So we will be talking about the agent installation in greater detail in our upcoming training sessions. So if you are interested, please make sure that you are subscribed to the upcoming training. Now, since John uses a secure gateway server, machines that connect directly over the internet will be communicating via the secure gateway server, and machines that connect using a VPN will be directly communicating with the Desktop Central server. Remote control will work on either mode of connection. Now, how Desktop Central operates effectively from a remote management standpoint, and how would you be able to use its tools effectively with respect to a work from home scenario? First thing is, if you have a helpdesk team or if you are part of IT, you will be requiring to resolve helpdesk tickets, day-to-day tickets that come for probably installation of application or to troubleshoot and resolve system-related issues. So in order to manage or remote management, you need a tool like Desktop Central, which will facilitate remote management. And of course, if you would like to enforce or maintain IT policies, something like a power management scheme or a disk cleanup, or to even set up a reboot cycle, if you have IT policies that have to be enforced on your endpoints, then a tool like Desktop Central comes in handy to ensure that the policies are enforced. And if you want to communicate with the end users, as part of the helpdesk team, it is required to communicate with the user about the progress of a ticket, or if you need any help like a remote session or to ask permission from the user before getting on a remote session, you need to communicate with them by means of chat or a video call. You can definitely use a tool like Desktop Central in order to take care of this. So this is why a solution like Desktop Central is essential for enterprises to take care of all your remote management needs. And all the scenarios that we discussed today are designed in such a way that we can go through each step of remote control to understand the different aspects, and it should give you a better idea about how you can utilize this product. Now, setting the expectation or environment for end users about a work from home patching cycle. Oops. Now, patching machines is one of the most widely used functions of Desktop Central, and in a remote or work from home situation, the patches will have to be deployed over the internet. So in the first scenario, we look at how Desktop Central helps with setting an expectation and notifying the end users about impending patch updates using announcements. So let's say you have a patching schedule at every third Saturday. So when working from the office, the IT team have control over the network bandwidth, but in a work from home scenario, there would be varying bandwidth based on the user's internet connection. So you want to create an announcement to notify the end users about this so they can save their work and continue once the machine has been patched and rebooted. So practically, if you want to create an announcement for the end user, you can do that. Now let's dive into the product. So this is the Desktop Central web interface. So if you have not seen the console before, this is the suite which has all functionalities of patch management, application deployment, asset management, OS deployment, mobile device manager, and of course tools and remote control. So once I'm in tools, you go to announcement over here and you can create a new announcement. So I've already created one. I'll just modify this and show it to you. So you can input any message over here, then provide a start time and end time over here. So whether you want it to be displayed only once or multiple times, you can do that as well. And if you want to work across remote offices or across the entire office, you can select the domain or remote office based on your specific target scope. Now, this should be popping up in the end user screen, and it should look similar to this screen over here. So this will be the actual message once you save it, and the end user will be receiving this message. Now, what we have at present is that the agent will be able to display an on-screen announcement to tell the users about a patch cycle or any other message. And it will be able to get the feedback whether the agent was able to display the message or no. But it does not list an option for the user to confirm or reject the idea. So that is currently a work in progress, and our team is working on adding that as a functionality in upcoming builds. But as of now, you will just be able to notify them and get the feedback whether it was listed successfully or it failed. Now, the next scenario that we will be looking at is when an end user, in this case, Bob, raises a help desk request. Now, here we are using a help desk tool called Service Desk Plus, and this is ManageEngine's own ITSM solution. Now, Bob has raised a help desk ticket that he needs to have an Adobe application installed, and he also needs help with troubleshooting an issue with the display adapter. So if you have tickets like this, I am sure you will have day-to-day tickets like this that come into your help desk. So how would you go about and resolve this? Because end users might not be able to reach the IT help desk directly over call. In this case, Desktop Central gives the users to create a help desk request right away from the agent tree icon. So now let's go back to the web console to see how this works. So I talked about the help desk request. So create help desk request, you can go to admin and help desk settings. So once you enable this option, the users will be able to create a help desk ticket right from the agent tray icon. So you can just click on this. You should be able to send a request to the help desk from here. So now let's go back to the tools section. So I go to tools and I go to remote control. So this lists all the machines that I'm currently managing. In this view, I can say the computers tab history. So you go to history over here. This lists all previous remote sessions that have been recorded. And if you have screen recording enabled, you will be able to download the video from here. So I'll be revisiting all the tabs once we complete the remote control. So let's go back in now. Go to computers. And you can connect from here. Oops, 1 minute. Okay, oh, that is just my machine. Okay, so anyway, I will tell you what all are the features that are offered in remote control now, because I just have my machine to manage. So you go to settings, you can customize your viewer type. So you have two viewer types over here. One is HTML5 and ActiveX. So HTML5 is what we recommend. It is more modern. But if you prefer legacy settings, you can use ActiveX for now. You can also notify the end users about remote connections. So just like I got a notification now, your end users will be getting a remote connection notification. And you will also be able to allow the end user to disconnect the session. You can also enable quick launch. So you can enable the option over here, and the users will be able to use that. And if you do not want to be bothered by the user's display settings, you can disable the wallpaper and disable arrow themes as well. And let's say you're going to enter some sensitive information or access a network share that you do not want the user to see. So you can enable the black and monitor option and the user display would be going out. So only you will be able to see the screen. Or let's say the user is being fidgety and you would not want them to send any inputs. So you can disable their keyboard right from this page. So these are the settings that remote control allows you to customize. And then you have an option called screen recording that I talked about earlier. So you can specify you can enable screen recording and you can specify the file limit. So it will be automatically recorded and it's stored in the desktop central server. So it is recorded in the agent machine, and once it is copied over to the server, the file gets deleted from the agent end. So it is stored only in the server end as a backup. And then you can configure performance settings. So let's say if you have varying remote offices with varying bandwidth capabilities, so you can customize them and set the compression ratio and the color quality from this page. And finally, you have user confirmation option. So if you're someone who's concerned about user privacy, you can enable the option and have a notification message shown to the user requesting them for permission to access control. And you can also enable this as a permanent setting. So if you are someone who's concerned about that, you can go ahead and do it. Now coming back to remote control, I will just show this. Now, on the left side, there are various options for you. So I'll just talk about these options. I'll just capture the screen now. Yep. 1 minute. So you see various options over here. So the first option is going to give you an option to blacken the monitor and also to notify the users. So we already talked about that. And secondly, there's an option for settings. So you'll be able to, let's say you want to install an application and you want to reboot a machine. So in that case, you can use the cog wheel over here and you can reboot the machine from the web console. And once the machine reboots, if the session stays alive, the agent will automatically connect back to the server. And you can also initiate a chat right from here. You can initiate chat or voice call or a video call from this page over here. And finally, you have an option to initiate file transfer sessions from this page. So if you want to transfer a file for an installation from a network shaft or from your machine, you can do that directly from here. Now, these are the options with respect to the remote control section. So you can also, I didn't touch about the idle session settings. So let's go back over here. So you can enable idle session settings. So this will be timing out the session after a specific amount of inactivity. So these are all the various functionalities that remote control offers. And so this is how it works in the backend. You might ask how it worked. So this is a very simple design. I'll just go back to the presentation now. So the server holds the key here. There are two ports that need to be opened, HTTPS, that is 8443 and 8027. The moment the technician initiates a remote session, I was talking previously about a notification server being an interesting component. So this is the server that keeps track of the live agents, or this is what is responsible for all on-demand actions. So when you trigger a configuration or a patch deployment from the server, this initiates the target machine and the target machine connects with the server. So the notification server and port are essential for all on-demand operations. So the moment the technician initiates a connection, the request goes to the server, and from the server through the 8027, it sends a notification and it initiates a remote session using the 8443 port. Now, if there are other technicians who want to join, they can view the same desktop or image frames right from the server. So this is how the remote connection is established and it works. There'll be a common question if it installs any clients on the background or if you have to download something additional to initiate a remote session. So to answer that, it is a no. Nothing additional has to be performed because the agent is there and it will be able to initiate a connection without having a user to install the plugin or probably download something. So I can initiate it directly from here. And of course, last one is something we touched upon earlier, where is voice and video call. So you also have an option to do that, and it works exactly the same way. Now, system maintenance is a crucial part of IT tasks in an IT environment, even more so when moving to a work from home setup. Now, moving to a work from home setup initially would not be the hardest part, but once the users have settled in, and once you need to patch the machines and help troubleshoot issues, one issue that gets widely reported is about system slowness. So the third scenario that we will be looking at is going to be troubleshooting system slowness. And what are the tools that are available in Desktop Central that will help you with troubleshooting system slowness? Now let's imagine a scenario where a user in John's environment has reported that their computer is sluggish. Now what are the tools that Desktop Central John can leverage using Desktop Central in order to troubleshoot this specific issue? Let's go back to the product. So you go to Tools, and you can go to System Manager. So you can browse through each task and the process. So there are various options over here. So there's Task Manager, Services. So we'll be touching upon everything now. So the first page that you would want to check would be the Task Manager. Now, since the system is acting slow, you want to check if any background processes is consuming high amount of CPU usage, or there is any malware running in the background. So you can view it real time from this page, and you can also stop the applications right from this page. Also, you can customize the starter programs, so you can enable or disable them right from this page as well. So the next job would be viewing services. So you would go to check what services are present in the machine, and this also lists a real-time view. In fact, all of the options in this page list real-time views of the machine. So you can start or stop a service from this page and also change the startup type. So the next job that you would want to check would be the Windows Event Logs viewer. So one of the common things that you as a technician would want to do is to view the event logs when there is a report of an issue or crash. So you can go in here and filter based on specific period of time or a specific application. So you can select the event source and event level based on your entries and the event ID if you have one. So you can then filter based on this information. Now then comes File Manager. So you will be able to browse through all the files similar to using File Explorer in the end machine. So you can access the different drives, you can browse through the files, and even create or delete files right from this page. And checking disk space and disk cleanup is another option that we also offer. So to view them, you go to Tools, System Tools, and you can create a new task from here. So I have already created one. I'll just show this for you. So you select all the tasks that you want, check this disk cleanup and disk defragmenter. So you select, configure the settings based on your preference, and this is for check disk. And then for disk cleanup, for Windows 10 machines that run Windows 10 version 1703 and above, you have Windows storage sets. So this will take care of all your disk cleanup activities. So Desktop Central supports this as well. So you can configure storage and settings over here and deploy it. And for older machines who have the legacy disk cleanup utility over here, so you can select specific tasks and you can have them cleaned up. So if you want to remove only the log files, you can do that. Or if you want to remove Windows installation files, you can do that as well. So once this is done, you can proceed to this defragmenter. So you have things like operation type or priority, and the defragment mode as well. So you select verbose mode based on your preference, select the respective drives, and you can then go to define the target. So you can target the entire domain or the remote office from here, or also filter down the specific machines or IP address. So this is the level of customizability that you have. And The last part is going to be the scheduler. So this creates a task entry in Windows Task Scheduler. So this is the exact interface that you'll be viewing over there. You can set the trigger conditions, and you can set the frequency over here, and you can then finish the task. I'll just quit this. So this will perform a disk cleanup for defragmentation task based on the specified schedule. Now coming back to System Manager. If you like to access the registry and view the registry settings, so you can do that from here as well. So you can go to the registry tab. This lists a view of all the registry entries from the machine. Yeah. So let's say you want to make any changes to the registry, that can also be done from over here. So you can delete the files or add values over here. And in case if you want to take a backup of existing values, just to make sure that everything's backed up, you can export it from this page, and this is saved in the desktop central server. So you can view them by clicking on the previous export details button over here. So you can use this to restore if something goes wrong as part of the troubleshooting process. Now the next part would be to check, remotely execute a command to check if things are going fine and to execute a GPU update, or if you want to just run a simple command on the end machine. So that can be done from command prompt. So you have the option to run using the system user. So that is the default account that we use. It is an equivalent to an admin account that is built into Windows, or you can also run as a different user. So this lists all the other users available in the machine, and you can run it as one of them. Now the next part would be to check device manager. So you go over here. We talked about troubleshooting system slowness issues right now and about a drive graphic adapter issue previously. So both of them can be troubleshooted from here. You can check if there is any connectivity issues or driver issues over here, and uninstall the driver from here as well. So if a specific user asks you about system slowness or specific problem, you can go system-wise and troubleshoot right from the web console without remotely taking control of the machine. So these are the options that we with respect to the troubleshooting. And apart from that, System Manager has options like shares that list the file shares present in the respective machine, and it also lists details about the current sessions and also the open files in the respective sessions. Then you have the option to view the printers that are connected to a machine. So this is a view only page. You will not be able to make any changes over here. So if you want to add a printer, you can do that from the configurations setting. And then there is group management. So if you want to add a member temporarily to an administrator group so that they can perform an installation or something, you can add a member over here, and you can also then remove them right from this page as well. Or if you want to totally delete a group, that can also be done from this page. And then there's the software tab. So this lists a similar view to that of the inventory. So for this specific machine, it lists all the software that is installed on it. And if you want to uninstall an application, you can do that right from this page. For MSI packages, an uninstallation command is not needed, but for EXE packages, you would need to provide the silent uninstallation commands for removing the application. And lastly, you have the users options, which is user management. You get to see the list of users that are present in the respective machine. Now that we've had a look at this, you might have a question about privacy and how secure this is when it comes to privacy. So we give you an option to configure System Manager settings, where you can select who you would like to have access to File Manager and whatnot. So you can go to Admin. Now you go to System Manager settings over here. So you can disable it for all users, or you can also permanently disable it for all users from over here. I'm not going to save anything. So these are the options you have. And you can also add user confirmation settings for File Manager and Command Prompt. So this will notify a message to the end user, similar to what we saw under remote control. And once the user accepts, you will be able to perform the remote tasks from there. Now let's go back to the slide now. So a quick recap. So for troubleshooting system slowness, you can view the task manager to check system processes that are running, or use the services tab to view the services in the machine. And then we saw the event log viewers. So you can analyze event logs or any errors that are shown, or if there are frequent crashes. Then you can use remote command prompt to remotely execute commands virtually from the web console. And we saw about scheduling a check disk task and a disk defragment task that can be done as well. And then there's disk cleanup or storage syncs. And yeah, lastly, I talked about remote command prompt. So now next up, we are going to be having a look at how Desktop Central helps you with enabling IT policies to monitor productivity in a work from home setup. Now imagine John's organization has tasked them with generating daily reports that have information like user log on or log off time, and power management reports to check system uptime, and also check the usage duration of specific applications. Now, how would John be able to do all of this? Let's jump into the product now. So the first step is to go to the report section. So you go to reports, and you can see user logon reports from here. So you go to user logon reports, and you can see the user logon history from this page. You can have a detailed view of it as well. So you can specify the duration, specify the domains, and this information is cached by default for 30 days. So you can view this information, this page, and have this scheduled as a report as well. So then there is system uptime report. So that can be viewed from the power management section. Again, you can see when the system was powered on, when it was shut down. Green arrow would indicate that it has remained this status for a long time. And to check application software metering, you can go to inventory. You can go to inventory and software metering. So you will have to create a software metering rule for the application to be metered. So I'll just modify my existing rule. So you specify the file name, and that's it. When the exe runs, the agent will be metering the application and will be generating a report based off it. So one thing to note here is that metering is measured only for applications that are launched from the portal and then closed. So if a user launches an application and does not close it within the day, so within the day is not 24-hour cycle, it is a day cycle. So from 12 to 11:59. So if a user does not open or close the application within a day, there will be no entries present for the respective application for that specific day. So this can be viewed as a software metering summary over here. And you can also schedule this as a report from the report section as well. So yes, these are the options that Desktop Central offers with respect to enabling IT policies to monitor endpoint productivity in work from home setup. So you can generate productivity reports using user logon reports. So this is a quick recap. And we saw about generating power management reports. And we saw about software application metering to monitor the time spent on each application. And then there's the option for monitoring web activity. So this is an add-on service. You need to purchase the browser security add-on for this to work. Now, those are the actual scenarios from the remote control. Let's have a look at Desktop Central as architecture to have a better understanding of how all of this works. So Desktop Central is a client-server model application and an on-premise solution. So you can have Desktop Central hosted in any one of the supported operating systems. And this architecture talks about how you can manage the network using Desktop Central. So when it comes to the wide area network, you can manage different remote locations using Desktop Central, so different branch offices. They can connect either over internet or using a VPN or MPLS connection. For machines that are not present in the remote office and are connected directly over the internet, you can use a component called as a secure gateway server. So this bridges the traffic between the agent and the server and securely connects them over the internet. When it comes to remote locations, there's an option called distribution server that we talked about earlier. So this is, you can use this to throttle bandwidth for the data traffic between the desktop central server and the remote location. We will talk about this in detail as we go into the training. We can choose to have the machines communicate either directly with the desktop central server or along with the distribution server. So you will be able to manage all your mobile devices using a secure gateway tool. So with the desktop central server, you can manage multiple domains as well as work groups and multiple remote offices. You can deploy configurations targeting Active Directory groups or organizational units. So this is the architecture of how desktop central works. Now you may have a question as to what can be done if you have a closed network, a network which does not have connectivity to internet or very limited connectivity. Would you be able to manage a closed network using desktop central? Yes, even if you have a closed network architecture, you can still use desktop central to manage your endpoints effectively. Desktop Central is also available in AWS Marketplace and Azure. So in case if you are looking to host Desktop Central in any one of the cloud servers, you can use AWS or Azure for now. We are also offering Desktop Central as a cloud solution standalone now. Beta applications are being registered, so you can access it using desktopcentral.manageengine.com. So it is hosted in Zoho Cloud and it is completely hosted entirely in our end. So this is ManageEngine's award section. So Desktop Central has bagged the InfoSec Award 2020 for a next-gen unified endpoint management solution category. So thank you guys for that. And then there's a 90-minute refresh policy. So Desktop Central can scale small as well as large networks. That can be done thanks to the 90-minute refresh policy. So what is the 90-minute refresh policy? Every agent communicates with the Desktop Central server once in 90 minutes. So irrespective of whether you have 90 machines or 900 or even a 9,000 machines, the 90 minutes will be divided between them and each machine will be given a specific time to talk with the server. The server has the intelligence to assign a time for each client to talk to the server. This is to avoid network congestion or bandwidth related issues. So the 90-minute refresh policy is designed in such a way that the load to the server is split evenly. Now, Desktop Central runs primarily on two ports. One is 8383, which is HTTPS, or 8020, which is HTTP. All the agents talk to the server using this port. Now, there is also another port, 8027, which is TCP. Now, this is used by the notification server that we have already seen above. And this port is used for all on-demand activities like initiating a patch scan or deploying a configuration, etc. Now, apart from these two ports, there are other optional ports that you need to have open. So the important ones are listed on screen. And you can keep the respective ports open as per your requirements. So to view the complete list of ports, you can access the link shown at the bottom of the screen, or you can also chat with our support technicians and they'll be able to help you with this. But there can be a question about security. So we'll be touching about that in the scenarios and solutions. So let's go ahead and now. So how do I measure the time spent by technicians for handling tickets related to Desktop Central? So like we talked about earlier, you can go to Tools, Remote Control, and in the History tab, you will be able to see the duration over here. And this is also stored in another location under Admin Action Log Viewer. So you can filter based on remote control and view this information. And then we would like to monitor the activities of students in our school without their knowledge. So would this be possible? Yes, that is possible. We call this as stealth mode. So you can go into settings and you can uncheck the option over here. So you go to tools, control, settings, and you uncheck this option, and you also go to the view only mode if needed. So this would suffice. Then we are a healthcare company, and we need to be compliant with regulations like HIPAA. So yes, touching about the security aspect. So Desktop Central is HIPAA as well as PCI compliant. So you can very well verify that if you want the system to be HIPAA compliant. We have a separate option where you can say remote control tool will comply to HIPAA standards, and that will make user confirmation permanent. And getting confirmation of the users before every session, that again explains the HIPAA compliance. So you can enable user confirmation, and you can also enable the option to notify the end users. So you can also monitor and record or audit each remote session. So that is also part of the Desktop Central. So I touched about the history tab over there. So you can generate a report based on that. Then you have options like blacken monitor. So if you do not want to share passwords or any sensitive information, you can blacken the monitor and the user will not be able to see it. And Desktop Central offers granular control over the web console and the role-based administration. So if you want to give access to specific technicians for remote control, you can do that. So you can go to admin. I'll show that over now. Go to admin, user administration, and you can create a rule that is specifically catered towards remote control. So you go over here and give full control to remote desktop sharing. So this user will be able to access only remote control and nothing else. Let's go back to the web console. Oops. Installing and configuring web servers on a remote machine is complex. So I want to document the process and use it as a training material for newcomers. Is this possible? Yes, you can enable screen recording for Desktop Central and record a remote session of installing the web server component. And you can then download the video and share it across your network as training material. I find my remote sessions are slow when engaged with users from different countries or network. So the first thing is to define the performance under the performance tab. So you go to the performance settings and you set it to fast. And you can also set the color quality to low. So that would make sure that the remote connection is not pleasing to the eye to see, but it is fast. So then there is one user suspects an unauthorized remote access to his machine and has raised it to the manager. So is there a way to audit this? Yes, like I touched about this earlier, you can view this information in two sections. One is under the history tab and the other is under admin action log viewer. So both pages will list the username and the duration over there. Now I have a few servers hosted in no man land, and our company policy demands to get users approval before remote sessions. How would I go about handling this? That is a very good question, actually. So since no user confirmation is possible, you have the option to exclude certain computers from user confirmation. So you can add a specific, let's say you do not want your CEO to be notified of this in this goal. You can add the respective machines over here, and target machines would not receive user confirmation. So let's also take a look at some of the frequently asked questions. I'm running the Desktop Central app on my mobile, and can I initiate remote control using NAT settings? So Desktop Central comes with a mobile application that you can use. So once you install the mobile app, you can go over to admin and click on the mobile app option. So that will list a QR code for you. And once the app is installed and you're able to connect to the server, you will have an interface that is similar to this. So all functionalities, including remote control or system manager, can be accessed from the phone. So the remote control interface is very similar to what you would experience when connecting over a computer. And you have touch-based navigation. And then you have the function of system manager. And you can also schedule a reboot or shutdown using the remote shutdown option from the mobile app as well. Now, does screen recording have to be enabled before establishing the remote control session, or can it be turned on during the session? Oops. Yes, screen recording has to be enabled before the session is in place. So if you enabled it midway through the session would not be recorded, and you will need to initiate a new session in order to record it. Now, to allow multiple techs to work on the same remote session, does it require additional license? No, this does not require any licensing, but you have to ensure that you are adequately licensed with respect to existing users. All these users will be able to join the session, so there is no specific licensing specifically for this. Will remote control automatically reconnect to the session after the system reboot? Yes, like I stated earlier, if you leave the session running and it is live, the agent will automatically connect back to the session without any interaction. My remote control screen shows that port 8443 is blocked. So how do I resolve this? So the best way is to add an exclusion in your firewall or antivirus and add an entry to allow connections to port 8443 over HTTPS and the UDP. But if you want to change it, that can also be done from tools and port settings. Is it possible to take remote control of roaming users? Yes. So if you have the desktop central server ports open over the internet, or if you have the secure gateway server component, you will be able to take remote control even for remote users while they are roaming. If you have disabled keyboard or mouse, or oops, I skipped the question, I guess. Does Wake on LAN have ports in routers in order to send wake up commands? So this is a question that was usually skipped for the work from home setup, because Wake on LAN would not be possible if the machines are not on the same network or on the same network with the distribution server. So to answer this, there are no specific ports that have to be open, but you need to make sure that magic packets are enabled in your network. You want remote connections to automatically disconnect if this session has been idling for over 10 minutes. So this can be done using the remote controls and settings tab. So you can enable idle session settings and set the time limit to 10 minutes. Now, our company wants to employ stringent privacy policies that limit technicians or admins from accessing end user files or folders. So you can restrict this by navigating to the system manager settings and disabling file manager control. So that would revoke access to this setting for all the users. Now that is with respect to the session for now, and we have a separate product called Remote Access Plus that is like a stripped down version of Desktop Central. It has only the tools and the system manager functions. So if you are interested in just those options, you can have a look at this product. So this is available as an on-premise and a cloud-based solution. So to know more about Desktop Central or Remote Access Plus, you can use the links that is shown on the page now. Now, please feel free to rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is best. And yeah, thank you for the time, guys. So we'd be grateful if you could spread a word over Twitter or Facebook for us. So we are active on social media now. So that would be wonderful. And the next training schedule is scheduled for the next week. So that is September 9. You can see the timings for your time zone over here. Make sure that you're registered, and you also get a participation certificate for that. Yeah. So this is a small video about the participation certificate. I'll just play it now. So yeah, make sure that you stay registered, and you will be getting a certificate to your registered email. And if you're interested in a personalized demo, please feel free to register using the link that is shown in the page. So, or you can also reach out to the chat support technicians, and they will help setting you up. That's all for today's session, guys. And thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day. And like I told, this is my last webinar for ManageEngine, and I'll be moving on to Gina Fastest now. So it was a pleasure working with all of you. Thank you. Bye. Have a good one.